everybody, and welcome back to Am's Untitled Podcast. I'm Am. Hi, if you've never met me before, it's really nice to meet you. Welcome to my Percy Jackson dedicated podcast. In today's episode, we are on the final six chapters of Chalice of the Gods. I'm really sad that it's coming to an end, but I'm so happy because hopefully everything all going well. Next episodes will be dedicated to Wrath of the Triple Goddess. I may slip the demigod files in, depending on how I feel and how much time I have. The book comes out in exactly a week, and I am so excited. I feel like I've been waiting for this forever, and it's finally like coming, and it just yeah, it doesn't feel real. I just wanted to say something very quickly just before we start. Obviously, I will be going back to uni very soon, which means that it doesn't mean I'm going to stop uploading. I just want to clarify this right here, right now. I'm not going to stop uploading, but there will be, instead of two episodes going up every week, there will be only one episode that goes up starting from the 30th of September. So that is, I believe, in 2 weeks' time, from what I can tell from here. Yeah, 1, 2, yeah, 2 weeks. Well, just over two, just under 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm so sorry. Obviously I'll be quite busy with uni, so I'm going to just take only do one episode a week, sort of take the pressure off myself so I can concentrate on my studies as well. And I hope that you guys can understand that as well. Obviously, I don't want to give the podcast up. That is not even an option on the table. So yeah, if you only hear from me once a week, don't freak out. It's just I'm trying to sort of plan out my time, and I still don't have a designated day yet. I'm waiting to go back to uni to kind of see what my workload is like and where I can have maybe a couple of hours just to upload, edit, and record for the podcast. So don't panic. There will still be weekly uploads, just probably not two episodes and just one. So I hope that's okay with you guys, and I hope you guys can understand why I've had to take the cut back. But there's still going to be so much more Percy Jackson content coming over the year, over the next year. So please don't panic. Um, I'm not stopping because I love this too much to be like stopping for me is just not an option. So we're just gonna carry on and keep plowing through. And like I said, hopefully, touch wood, next time I'm recording, it is with the brand new book and the new chapters, which I'm very excited for. Anyway, for today's episode, it's part 5 of Chalice of the Gods. Pre-warning. Episode contains spoilers throughout. I'm so sorry if you've listened to my episodes and I've spoiled things for you. I do try, if I remember, to give a spoiler disclaimer. Um, so without further ado, let's get on with it because I've already been chatting for 3 minutes. So let's go. So hold on a second. I'm confused. Oh yeah, it's fine. I'm just an idiot. Don't worry. It's yeah, the last. Oh no, hold on. I thought this was the last six chapters, but I believe it's the last seven. I clearly did not count properly when I did this. I'm so sorry. So it's chapters 28 to 35. So chapter 28 is it starts raining toys. Percy hugs Gary, and he was thinking about his mortal grandparents, and he was thinking about Annabeth and Grover being old and grey with him. And there was a lovely little Percabeth moment, which was I pictured myself holding hands with Annabeth when we were both wrinkly and frail, and I still looked into her eyes and loved her as much as ever. Oh, oh, it's just beyond cute. Like, do you guys like this actually exists? Like, is there anybody who is like Percy? Because wow, he's just the gold standard of what anybody would want in a partner, I think. Personally, I don't know. I just thought that that moment was really cute and I had to point it out. And of course, like after he finishes hugging Gary, he sort of takes a step back and he looks towards Annabeth, and there's another little Percabeth moment, which is, and that twinkle of appreciation in her eyes was the best look I could ever hope for. It meant that she was proud of me. Do you know one thing? Sorry, I know this isn't a Percabeth episode, but I just want to quickly say this that I love about the two of them is how much their approval means to each other. Like they really do look for each other's like what's the word? Not approval, but like they look at each other and they want each other to be proud of them and they want them to just enjoy like I don't know what the word is. Like, it's so hard for me to describe. It's like their main goal in life is to impress each other. Like, they don't do it for anyone else. They do it to make each other happy and to make each other proud. And I love that. I think it's so sweet. And of course, Gary starts crying. And the reason why he's so upset is because he tells them that old age is never embraced. It's always looked on as a bad thing, even though it's not. And, he says to Percy that it would be wrong to kill him at this age. Like, he has so much more life ahead of him and so much more that he needs to do. So it would be almost inappropriate to get rid of him so early. Thank goodness. And Gary takes out the chalice and gives it to him. Annabeth comes running up towards Percy and she says, "It was perfect." And she marched up and she kissed me. Aw. Do you know what? It was she's one of those people like who's very wise, right? And she knows that sometimes Percy doesn't really catch on so easily. But when it comes to making the right decision, he is like top tier. Like he always makes the best decision for the people around him. And I think Annabeth knows that. And just him doing that, like I was honestly so touched as well. Like the way Rick taught you such an important lesson in such a really simple way. Yeah, he never fails to surprise me and he never ceases to amaze me. I must be honest. Like, I've been reading his books for years now, and no matter how many times I read them, there is always something in there that like I've never noticed before, and it just makes me very happy and it just surprises me, and it makes me think about how mature these books really are. And yeah, although they're supposed to be supposedly children's books, I think that there's a lot that adults can learn from them as well. And yeah, Rick, I love you. You're an absolute genius. That's the only way that I can say it. Like he's honestly just amazing. Um and they see a hula hoop in the sky, which is aside from Ganymede. Basically, it's a distress call. Um, and they find out that Zeus has called his mother for brunch, meaning that the chalice needs to get its ass to Olympus like right now. um, and that's where the chapter sort of ends. Oh god, that's going to be interesting. Percy's going to go back to see Zeus again. Chapter 29 is a teeter on the Principe of Mount Brunch. So Annabeth tells Percy that he has to be the one to deliver the chalice. Like obviously it's his quest. He needs a letter of recommendation. It has to be him. And Grover says that he has an idea about how to get up to Olympus. So Grover and Percy get into a taxi and it takes them to the Empire State Building. And Annabeth gives him her invisibility cap. Now that is such a big thing for her to even like hand that one piece that connects her to her mother over to him shows how much she really loves him and how much she trusts him. And there's a lovely little Perspeth moment, which is, "You will bring it back. Good luck and don't die." She's so real and raw and honest, and they've been together for a few years now, and it's just it just makes me laugh. I just love them so much. I think they're so funny. And I've also decided that I would never ever want to be on the receiving end of Annabeth's wrath. That is what I have learned. Grover tells him that Naomi, a nymph, works in the kitchens of Olympus, so if he can convince her to help, they can complete the quest and return the chalice back to Ganymede. Percy puts on the invisibility cap, but he realizes how uncomfortable it is. And he remembers that one time when Annabeth told him that no gift comes without a price. And now he realizes that all those times Annabeth was using the cap, like she never complained because she understood the meaning of those words. Like if she wants to use it, there's always a price to pay. And yeah, I just thought that that moment was really interesting. Grover distracts the security guards by hula hooping in front of them, and they sort of chase after him. And Percy can feel the chalice getting heavier as he reaches Mount Olympus, and that's where the chapter sort of cuts off. Well, finishes, not cuts off. Chapter 30 is I infiltrate the lair of the lightning god 3000. I bloody love these chapter titles. Rick, honestly, I don't know where he's pulling the sense of humor out from, but it's honestly iconic. So the chapter opens up with Percy running across the bridge to Olympus, And he knocks on the door and he meets Naomi, and he tells her that that he's a he's a friend of Grover's, and she lets him into the kitchen. And Percy enters Zeus's private palace. He sees Zeus, Hera, and Rhea. Is it Rhea or Rhea, his mom? I think it's Rhea. I don't know. And they're all basically sitting at the table having brunch. And Percy can see Ganymede in the corner of the room, and he's sweating Greek fire. Bless him, he must be so stressed out. And Ganymede sort of spots Percy, but as he tries to reach Percy, Zeus stops him to listen to a story about Rhea. Idiot. Absolutely not the time right now. And Percy realizes that he's the one that's going to have to take the chalice physically to Ganymede. Ganymede is not going to be able to make it to him. And that's where the chapter finishes. Chapter 31 is I face a dangerous predator who is possibly my future mother in law. Oh no. Oh no. Any mention of like Athena really scares me because, especially when she interacts with Percy, I'm just like, oh, Percy jumps onto the pastry cart driven by Barbara, and he's basically hiding in the pastry cart with the chalice. And she tells him her price is to meet Annabeth. So Barbara is a huge fan of Annabeth, and she thinks that she's just amazing, like me, a fangirl. I love you, Barbara. She gets it, people. She gets it. And there's a little Percibeth moment where Percy says she's my hero too. Oh, do you know what? I just love them so much. And when he says things like that, if I didn't love him already, like I couldn't possibly love him anymore because he's just so pure and I love him. Oh. Guys, we all need to find a Percy. That's what everybody's mission in life is, to find a Percy, because if somebody doesn't talk about you like that when you're not present, I'm sorry, but they ain't worth your time. Um, and as Barbara is wheeling the pastry cart, it starts making a lot of noise, and Zeus tells Barbara to stop. Oh dear. It's probably the weight of Percy and the chalice that doesn't help. And as Percy sort of opens the curtain on the cart, he sees a lion, and Athena sees him too. And Athena tells him that she can't believe Annabeth is still dating him. Ugh, she's such a hater, guys. Just like why? Why could she not just let her daughter be happy? Like Beth is like the perfect demigod child, and like Athena just won't let her live in peace. And so what that she's with Percy? Like, I don't see how it affects him. Like, it's not like Athena is present in her day-to-day life. Like, I don't think it really matters. It's not like she has to see her and Annabeth and Percy like being together all the time. So yeah, she just annoys me. I don't know what it is about her. I'm just like, just leave them alone. Like, they're both happy. Just leave. Um, Nobody wants her salty ass attitude, honestly. But yeah, there was something else I was gonna say as well, and it's just completely slipped my mind. Oh yeah, and like I also don't like Athena, and when we read Heroes of Olympus together, we'll come to that. And it's because of a certain thing that happens in Heroes of Olympus. There's a fight between Annabeth and Athena, and some of the stuff that Athena says is just awful, and it actually made Annabeth cry. And I did cry when I read that moment in the book, but we'll come to that when we read it together. And Athena tells Ganymede to take the cart back to the kitchen. Um, Basically, she sort of just helped Percy. And Percy hands over the chalice to Ganymede, who I'm sure was so relieved to finally have it back in his possession. And Ganymede gives him a recommendation letter. So it was basically just a blank piece of paper. And he tells Percy to write whatever he wants on it, and that his signature will magically appear at the bottom once the letter has been written. And Ganymede goes back to Zeus to pour him his drinks. And Percy thanks Naomi for all her help, and she tells Barbara that she can meet Annabeth, basically, and she gives him a demigod bag for the road. How sweet! At least she thought about him. Came all this way. At least he got some food out of it. Chapter 32 is Grover eats my leftovers. So Percy comes down with the demigod bag, and Grover takes it. Grover tells him that when he was fighting against Gary, he was really worried, and that one of his biggest fears is losing Percy. And I think that that's so sweet. Like like some people forget that they share this empathy link, so they can constantly feel each other's emotions, and it's like they have a connection, not just on a physical level, but they also have an emotional connection. And it was so sweet because obviously Grover's not really present like in Heroes of Olympus. Like I did miss him like not being there. He does make an appearance, I think it's in the last book, but he's not there all the time. And his and Percy's friendship is honestly like best friend goals. Like they are such a bromance and they're great. You know, it's just when I read that, I almost started getting choked up because I was like, wow, like he still cares about his friend like more than ever. And I love that. And I know that the feelings are mutual between him and Percy, so it's great. And Percy tells him about his vision, about old Grover and old Annabeth, and he sort of comforts Grover, and he says that no matter what happens, like no matter where they go in their lives, like they'll always be friends and nothing will ever change that. And they just have like an unbreakable bond. Like Grover has been there from the time Percy found out, even before he found out that he's a demigod. Like he's been with him every step of the way. And I think a friendship like that, I think there's that whole thing like you be friends with someone, like people come into your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime, and Grover is one of those special lifetime friends. And there is nobody who cares about Percy. Maybe Annabeth, but nobody that cares about Percy as much as Grover does. And I just thought that it was really sweet. Um, and Grover tells him to make sure that he returns Annabeth's cap. Um, no, hold on. That's not what happened. Backtrack 1 second. My brain went fuzzy for a second. Grover tells him that he will give Annabeth's cap back so that Percy can get back to class. And when Percy goes to school, I can't remember if it's Eudora or another person who was on the reception that tells him that there's a phone call for him, and it is Poseidon. He rings Percy while he's at school, and he tells him like he finally saw how great of a hero Percy actually is, and that he's always watching him and he's always going to be there for him. And Percy starts tearing up. And I started tearing up too because I was like, oh my God. I was like, after all these years, after everything that Percy's been through, like battling Kronos' army, the whole betrayal with Luke, carrying the sky, like and everything like falling to Tartarus, like everything that he has been through has been so hard. And I don't think Poseidon has ever like sat down and thought about it up until that moment. And it was such a big moment for Percy as well. Like his father thinks that he's a hero, like his dad Poseidon, God of the seas, Earthshaker, Stormbringer is such this big title, and his son is one of the greatest heroes that has ever lived. Like the pride that Poseidon must be feeling is just something else. And like I feel so proud of Percy. Like every time like I hear about one of his adventures, and I can't wait to restart reading the books, like the first five when I go back to uni again. Like it will be my train thing where I'm just reading it for pure enjoyment. And yeah, Percy mentions to Poseidon about Ellison's yoga classes. Remember, he promised Ellison, like, I think it was in part three we talked about it, for Poseidon to consider his yoga classes, and he does. And the chapter ends with Percy hanging up the phone. I just thought that that chapter was so wholesome. It's so sweet. And, I think it's like, I'm glad that Percy and Poseidon have more of an interaction in this book. Like, not so much in Heroes of Olympus, but more in this book. They have a great interaction. Chapter 33 is One More Jolly Rancher for Old Time's Sake. So Eudora calls Percy into her office, and Percy tells her all about his quest. And he also mentions that he wasn't even tempted like to drink out the chalice. Like if you drink out the chalice, you become immortal, right? And even like the first time he turned down immortality, don't think he had any regrets, and I don't think he has any regrets about drinking out about not drinking out the chalice either. And he shows her the letter that Ganymede gave him, and he explains to her that his signature will appear at the bottom, and she gives him a Jolly Rancher, and he leaves her office and goes back to class. Chapter 34 is I Write the Worst Letter Ever. Delete, delete. Annabeth comes over to Percy's house to see him, and they tell Sally and Paul all about their quest. Thankfully, it wasn't half as dangerous as all the other quests that they've been on. and he shows them the recommendation letter that Ganymede gave him, and he attempts to write down things on it, but it doesn't go very well. And Annabeth and Sally keep writing embarrassing things about Percy, and it shows up on the letter, and Percy tries to delete it. It's so funny. Poor Percy gets picked on, gets razzed by his mom and his girlfriend. Honestly, I would do the same. I can't even like say that it's not something I would do because I totally would. Like I love scrapping like people around me. I think it's really funny. Like my poor friends, like the stuff that they have to deal with, especially my best friend. Like I don't know how she puts up with me sometimes because I can be quite well, I'm not intentionally being mean, and we know it's all a joke, but yeah, I just thought that money was that money. Where did the money come from? I thought that that moment was really funny, and I just had to point it out. And eventually, they all work together and they finish writing the letter. And Paul does a toast to Percy, calling him their family hero. He is like, there's just no other word for him. Like, hero, the most selfless person you'll ever meet, who's fatally loyal and who just loves the people around him and would do anything to protect him. What kind of person wouldn't want someone like that? And I'm so happy that Paul loves Percy like his own. I think it's very sweet. And yeah, I just oh, it's so cute. So cute. I love it. Chapter 35, which I believe is the last chapter in the book. Yes, it is, which is pretty much the best goodnight kiss ever. So, Percy tells Annabeth about obviously what happened when he went to Mount Olympus, and of course his interaction with Athena. He's iris messaging her because she's in her dorm room, and there's this lovely Persephone quote, which is, "Her smile was the perfect antidote for my long day." Oh, anything else to say? Like Percy might just be the greenest flag that's ever existed, and he just loves her so much, and I love him for loving her so much. Like she's never had that kind of love, and she deserves it more than anyone, and Percy is just it for her really. And I always see Annabeth as like the calm to his storm. Did you see what I did there? There's somebody listening in that's like that's so uncool. Oh, I love them so much, and I can't wait to see what adventure they go on next. Like I'm honestly like ready. And he tells her about Barbara's request, obviously because she wanted to meet Annabeth, and she agrees. How sweet. Oh. Percy thanks Annabeth for her cap. Obviously, he took her invisibility cap, and he tells her that Athena had saved him. Now, that's a big thing because I initially thought when I read it for the first time that Athena was going to cause a scene and try and get back at Percy. Maybe slowly she's warming up to him as well. Hopefully, if they get married, Athena being a hater might be a bit of a problem. And he tells her about when he hugged Gary, and he hugged him so that they can embrace their long future together. Oh, guys, everybody's praying for their future together. Like one day, Rick has got to tell me about their marital life and when they have children and stuff. I want to see them be happy, and and not anytime soon. I don't want him to stop writing Percy Jackson anytime soon, but I would love to see that in the future because I'm telling you, even as a 50-year-old old woman, I'll still be reading these books if he's still writing them. And Percy says they still have two quests left, but they love each other, so no matter what happens, they're gonna be fine. And even I believe that, like, no matter what happens, no matter how dangerous a quest may be, their love is just something else, and that kind of love very, very special people get. And yeah, as long as they have each other, everything will be good, and I believe that. I really do. And they wish each other a good night, and Annabeth blows him a kiss, and that's where the iris message ends, and that's where they both fall asleep, and that's how the book ends. Oh, what an amazing book this was. Like, honestly, the whole book was so much fun. It was so much more light-hearted. I always refer to it as like the light at the end of the tunnel. So obviously Heroes of Olympus was very, very dark, and there's a lot going on all the time. But this book is very, very simple. And, you know, we have the original trio back, and I couldn't be more happy to see them all working together again. I really missed Grover. Like, I'll be honest, like I really missed him, and I'm so happy that he's back. Percabeth, of course, were just perfect as usual. The moments in this book were just chef's kiss, like absolute perfection. I couldn't have asked for better moments. So thank you so much, Rick, for that. Do you know what? I'm genuinely so happy for them. Like, no word of a lie, I'm so happy for them, and I wish them all the love and all the happiness. And I can't wait to see what their future holds together. I wanted to say a huge, huge thank you to Rick. Like, this book, there is nothing about this book that I would change. Like, the humor was perfect, the chapter titles were amazing, Percabeth was great, Grover is back, Ganymede was amazing. Gary, that whole lesson about embracing old age, like that was just amazing. And of course, Athena saving Percy. Like, what more could I possibly ask for in a ride for a book? So, thank you so much, Rick. I never ever regret picking up a piece of your work. Honestly, it just makes me so happy. And of course, guys, Wrath of the Triple Goddess in a week. Like, so I'm so ready. Like, my book has been pre-ordered since March. Like, I don't even know how many months that is. What is it? March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Like, it's been like 7 months. Like, I've been waiting for this. And it is finally coming. So hopefully next episodes will just be maybe the first few chapters in the book. Of course, the I will be spoiling things. So I highly recommend reading it before listening to me, because I tend to spoil quite a bit. But I know that it's just going to be as amazing as Chalice of the Gods and the rest of the books. I have that much faith in Rick's writing, and I know that you guys will not be disappointed, and neither will I. Um, yeah, just if you haven't read his books yet, I highly recommend reading them. They're for all ages. I don't agree with it just being for just kids because I don't think so. So yeah, if you haven't read any of Rick's work, I highly recommend checking it out. And yeah, next episodes will hopefully be dedicated to Wrath of the Triple Goddess. So thank you guys so much for listening in. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the entire review of this book. I know it was in 5 parts. I know it was really long, but I'm glad that we did it like that and we got to talk in detail about everything. Let me know what your favorite Percabeth moments were from this book. Let me know what your favorite moment was for this book and how excited you guys are for Wrath of the Triple Goddess. Because if there's anybody that's matching my excitement level, I would love to hear it. Um, like I said, all episodes of my podcast are available to stream now on Spotify and on my YouTube channel. They're both at Aamsuntitledpodcast. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Threads. I'm more active on Threads and Instagram. Um, be the first person to find out when a new episode goes up if you follow me there. Um, Anything else? Don't forget to like, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I will be speaking to you guys very soon. Mwah! Bye!